call the meeting to order. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Charlestown Redevelopment Commission meeting for Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Everyone would please rise as we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do a roll call vote to determine a quorum. Benita Fay.
Here.
Bobby Brooks.
Here.
John Spencer.
Here.
Chuck Deaton is absent. Derek Combs is also present. We do have a quorum. Moving on, we have a presentation this evening from the Wheatley Group for the 2024 annual report.
Thank you. So you all have been on the commission before, you've seen these presentations before. This is in the same format as you would have seen it previously, we just updated some information, so you can go ahead, Charles. This just kind of goes through an overview and tells you who the commission members were from last year. You can go ahead, Charles. The next few slides then talk about the economic development areas of all the different TIF districts that you have. You can just keep going through. The Central Charlestown TIF is your largest TIF and has the most parcels. You can go ahead, Charles. Then we also have the Indiana American allocation area, which is the spider TIF that basically encompasses everywhere where there's a water line within the city, along with the Renaissance Project Economic Development Area, which is the ARC development here across from the square. That's its own separate allocation area. And then recently, as some of you were on the commission as we did this, created the Depot Street TIF, which is where Forest Edge is, as well as de-TIF'd and re-TIF'd. We took the Shadow Lake Economic Development Area, those parcels that were in the Central Charlestown TIF, took those out of the Central Charlestown TIF and established the new Shadow Lake Economic Development Area, which now the TIF district includes all the development that's currently going on there at Shadow Lake, along with the park. Then this goes through what the overlapping, you're good, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Goes through what the overlapping taxing units are. So if not for this TIF, then that assessed value would pass directly through to those taxing entities and taxing units. Those haven't changed from before. Then this goes into just a basic description, basic TIF mechanics. So your base AV, so when all those TIFs were created, there was a base AV that was associated with them that stays there, and it does get passed. You take that times the tax rate, and it does get passed on to all the different taxing units that we saw on the previous page. What doesn't is, if you go back just a second, Charles, that's basically the same diagram for the same thing, but then the incremental assessed value, so the increase in that assessed value does not go directly through those, pass through to those in units, it goes into those specific TIF allocation funds. So you can go ahead now. This is just another way to see that. The first slide is a little bit more simplistic. This is a little bit more complex, but the reason that we keep this in there is to show you that a lot of these projects, and you're aware of that, and I'll use Forest Edge and Shadow Lake, some of these ones that we're doing right now, if not for the city's investment in those projects, they wouldn't have happened. Or it's very unlikely that they would happen in the way that they're happening now. So this kind of shows that if you make that investment, as said before, the base assessed value stays the same, that passes through, but if not for that investment, you would not see that incremental assessed value increase. So as things, if we hadn't invested, the commission hadn't invested $4.5 million into new roadway and infrastructure for Shadow Lake, you wouldn't see the new development that's happening out there. And so that's what's causing the increased assessed value, or should. You can go ahead, Charles. These next few slides just run through what the revenues and expenses were on all of the different TIF funds. This was the Forest Edge fund that started out with a balance of 2.5 million, and that's because you had some proceeds from the sale of the bond. And then you paid all of that out in '24 to Denton Floyd, who's developing Forest Edge. So there's a little bit of revenue in there from some interest and so on and so forth. So that's the end of the year, end of last year, that was the fund balance in that TIF. The next one, Central Charlestown TIF, which I mentioned earlier, is the city's largest TIF, encompasses most of the parcels are in that TIF, and then it just shows revenue at the beginning of the year, their balance at the beginning of the year, revenue, and then how those were expended. All of this information was included in the annual report that was due to be uploaded to the Department of Local Government Finance by April 15th. But we're also required to have some type of public presentation about that. Then we get into the Indiana American TIF. Again, it shows you what the balance was there, it shows you what the revenues are for '24, and then what expenses came out of that TIF, and then the year-end balance. And same thing for the North Park Hospital. I didn't mention that, we were going through each of the different districts. That was set up quite some time ago in anticipation of something occurring there. What has happened is at one point there was a revenue cash balance of $3.12. Since then, the assessed value has actually dropped, so there is no real increment for us to collect. That's something that if the commission wants, when we do periodically, we'll review those districts, and if that's something that we can look at to whether we really need that or not. The Renaissance TIF, again, that was the ARC project. You can see what the cash balance is, what the revenue is, and it's held steady around $80,000 to $90,000 over the last several years. And so that's the balance in that TIF fund. Then you could go on to the next. I believe this was an old fund that may have had a lot of them combined that now we've gotten rid of. When we first started to look at this several years ago, probably in 2020, everything was going into one TIF, even though you had Central Charlestown TIF, you had a Central Charlestown TIF expansion area, you had the North Park TIF, the Renaissance TIF was online. It was all going into one pot. And so we worked probably during 2020 to get that split out, and we've been working towards that. And I think this is just a remnant of what was left over after we had all of that split out in separate TIF funds. And then the Shadow Lake TIF, you see there's a little bit of revenue on that. In '24, we wouldn't have received anything. The Christianity property would have been the only real improvement there that would have been assessed. Last year paid 25. So we should realize a little bit more in that one this year. And then the Depot Street TIF, obviously Forest Edge isn't complete yet. Once it is complete, or portions of it are complete, they'll be assessed, and then we'll realize that after the fact. So hopefully some, if not all, can be assessed at the beginning, the end of '25, beginning of '26, and we might realize some revenue in '27. This is from your TIF neutralization report that's submitted to the Department of Local Government Finance. This shows what the captured assessed value is, what the projected revenue is, the actual revenue, and then what '25 may bring. This was done in '24, probably the middle of '24. So this is just an estimate. They don't ever really match exactly. So this has an estimate that we could receive in this year, $2.9 million. Excuse me. I'm not sure that that's what we'll really get. That first installment should come out this month or beginning of next, and we'll have an idea of what we might get for the year. What I based all the cash flows on are what we got last year. Just to kind of be conservative, we expect a little bit of an increase, but we're not exactly sure how much. And it also depends on if people get their tax bills and if they pay their taxes. this goes through the 24 activity highlights. Excuse me. It talks about Shadow Lake and what's happened there. I can go through this with you if you want. I know that you have lived through these projects and these updates. But just kind of high level, we've taken care of, and now we have, even though at the end of 24 it wasn't, the Greenway Park Bank Stabilization Project is completed now. It was still going on last year. Last year you purchased the H&R Block building, the 501 Market Street. And now that's under your control and it's vacant, and in the next several months we'll see a transformation there too. You can go ahead, Charles. Thank you. Last year, it seems like it was longer ago than last year, but we talked about contributions to the school, and we facilitated that, and $80,000 and signed an agreement with them. And also contributed to the Southern Indiana Works program, which allowed at least 2 summer interns to work here at the city, probably more than that, but that paid for at least 2 participants. Madison Street project is still going on. It's been kind of a long lead time to hopefully finish in conjunction with the completion of Forest Edge, but we're still working through that in Madison Street and Green Alley. And also we worked towards getting some financing or grants or some way to improve Charlestown Landing Road and expand it, in hopes of DNR being able to move their entrance to the state park to Charlestown Landing Road. So we worked through all of those. We're still working on quite a few of those. You can go ahead, Charles. We helped replace the dog fence around the dog park. Also, a big item was the purchase of the building on those 3 parcels in Short Street, which we were ready for demo at the end of last year, but couldn't actually demo it until this year. So now, as you know, we're working through a visioning process, or we did work through a visioning process, and you've awarded a scoping period to go through a BOT process to make that public space. And then also the Short Street Parklet project, which now has been combined with the Short Street BOT, so that we can have some type of a parklet or public space there, in conjunction with the $50,000 matching grant from Patronicity, and $50,000 at least that came from various people and businesses within the community. So that was a very short period of time to come up with that money, and the community came through with that. So continue with the facade improvement program. That's slowed down a little bit over the past couple of years, but we still get some interest in that. It's still there, and I think it's still valuable for you to have and to offer. And continue to watch the development there at Depot Street and Forest Edge project. I think there may be one more. Go ahead, I'm sorry. So we also engaged with United Consulting to do some design and bidding services related to a new roundabout at the intersection of Christianity Parkway and High Jackson. That's in the design phase right now. Go ahead. We get into some future activities. I've covered some of these already. And this is hard for me because we did this even, I thought it was last year, and I had to go back and look at dates. We actually did visioning sessions this year and started that process that I mentioned earlier about the DOT. Development at Shadow Lake continues with the completion of the railroad crossing and signal. I haven't driven down that way. Is that open now? Is the Christianity Parkway open yet?
Not
yet?
Not a 62.
Okay. And then, as you can see, the walls go up on those U.S. Capitol buildings. They're going up right now, which is great. That's what we wanted. Go ahead, Charles. And then we've got, of course, the Depot Street revitalization, which is Forest Edge. We expect still to begin leasing later this year. So that's great. We'll continue the facade grant program and have in 25, like I said, we've had some inquiries, but I haven't seen any applications yet. There's at least 3 different people that have inquired about it, but just haven't submitted applications. And we'll continue to develop some transportation projects for Charlestown, Landing Road, and High Jackson. And that may be the end.
That's it?
That's it? Great, thank you. Do you all have any questions or comments or concerns about any of that?
A lot of stuff last year.
Excellent.
Very good work.
For the last several years, you as a commission have been very active in pursuing a number of projects. You've done a lot of good work, and it's not easy. There's some of those were heavier lifts than others, but thank you guys. Unless you have any questions, I don't have anything else to present.
Thank you, Joe, for the report. Moving on to the approval for the minutes, you provided a copy of the minutes from the May 13th meeting. I'll ask for a motion on the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion by Benita,
Second.
second by Bobby. Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote to approve the debate. Bobby Brooks.
Aye.
John Spencer.
Yes.
Motion passes. Or I guess all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Good way.
Yeah, you don't have to do that since you did the roll call vote. Yeah, that takes care
All
of it.
right. All right, motion passes. Moving on to the claims, you provided a copy of the claims for the previous month. I'll ask for a motion to approve the claims.
I
Make
have
that motion.
one comment. Oh, sorry, John.
That's okay, go
There
ahead.
was one claim that I sent out in the redevelopment commission packet related to Enviro Forensics, who had missed the deadline by a day to get it in on the claims docket to pay for the hazardous materials tested. And so if we could add that to the claims docket as well, then that would be great. Deborah said that she could, we go ahead and write the check, we'll put it on the next month's docket just to have that. But it just missed, and I hate to have them wait, another month to get their money. It was $1,350.
I make a motion that we approve the claims with the addition of the item that you just disclosed, Jill.
The Enviro Forensics invoice.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have a motion by John, is there a second?
I'll second that.
A second by Benita. Roll call vote, Benita Payne,
Yes.
Bobby Brooks,
Yes.
John Spencer.
Yes.
Motion passes, thank you. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment? Nope. Consultant report, Jill, the Wheatley Group.
Thank you. I want to take just a minute to introduce somebody that is now with the Wheatley Group, Nate Smith. He's a project associate.
Welcome,
And Nate recently graduated from IU Southeast. Started with us this semester, the spring semester, and is staying with us now since he's graduated to help. So I think you'll be seeing maybe more of Nate and less of Evan. It's not that Evan doesn't love you, and Nate, you're from this area too, right? Maybe you didn't want me to say that, but. So, we're glad to have Nate with us, and we're glad to have him come and learn more about what we do, especially on the public side. So,
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
so High Jackson and Christian Parkway, we talked about United Consulting. They're at a point right now where next month, unless something changes, someone from United will be coming to present where they are in the process. And then we'll be asking the commission if they have permission to move forward with phase 2. We're doing it in sections just to make sure we've engaged them for the entire project from beginning to end, but we're only allowing them to work in different phases. One of the big concerns that I think we'll have is it's one thing to design it, but it's another to pay for the construction of it. So that's something that I've been watching along with the mayor, and hopefully we can get an update from United as to where they are. As you know, the General Assembly and some of the bills that they passed and And community crossings is affected with that, and I think that was gonna be the main funding source of this, and we're not sure how all that's gonna work out either. NDOT isn't either. They've suspended their July call, which normally would be January and July. They've suspended that for now until they can figure out how the changes that the legislature made to the program will affect the program and change their application. So we're proceeding, but we hope to have some more information between now and the next meeting as to whether it's advantageous for us to ask them to move forward on phase 2. But I'll get more information about that. So right now, I anticipate them coming and presenting some things to you in July. Charlestown landing improvements, that was originally a request through Ready 2.0, which was not funded. It was not funded through the Lillian Enhancement Program either. Congressman Aaron Houchin's office had reached out to the mayor and offered, said if there are any projects that you would like to do, we would like to help with those. So we started down one track with one application, and then midstream they said no, it would be a better fit after talking with everyone to do this, so we switched. So there's been a request put forward through that process, or at least through the congressman's office, and then she'll take it from there to see if we can get some money to assist with the construction of that roadway, as well as the refurbishment of the Quonset huts and the public works facilities out there. So that's all combined into one. Something I want to mention to you, the comprehensive plan that the city just kicked off the steering committee last week. There is a family fun night that's scheduled, the city has scheduled for June 27th from 6 to 8. The consultants that are doing the comp plan are going to set up a booth or have a table there, and they're going to talk to the public there, get their thoughts on a variety of things, big ideas, things that people would like to see in Charlestown, what they like, what they don't like, what they feel like they want to see. And so that's going to happen there. You are more than welcome to stop by and give your comments at that as well. There should be some things sent out through the city's social media about it, but I wanted to, since that was, and I have an actual flyer here that the city's going to take care of sending that out. I thought I'd mention it. And then 501 Market Street, I passed out, and John, I'll send this to you. I apologize. I got it after I sent everything out. Kind of a schematic drawing of the new, what the proposed parking lot would look like down at the H&R Block. So they have fit in there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ADA accessible spaces there. And then there's where it says possible hardscape landscape. We talked about possibly having some kind of seating area or something if people wanted to sit there. I mean, it's a pretty spot. It's a good place to I mean, there's plenty to look at there. So we're still working through that, but this was a preliminary drawing that I asked the engineers to send to us, and you don't have to give me your thoughts tonight. You can give me your thoughts some other time, but I wanted to show this to you. The whole purpose was to make more handicap accessible spaces available, because that's actually a little bit closer than if they parked in the Greenway Park parking lot to get to the accessible playground. So, and it's my understanding that's what that parking lot was used outside of tax season, was for more accessible parking anyway for events. So give me your comments on that when and if you have them. Last thing is it's here on the table, the A&E open house. The refurbishments are done, and Redevelopment Commission helped with those. So there's going to be an open house to show these off or show that improvements off 3:30 to 5:30 on Sunday, June 22nd. If y'all have any questions, comments, we'd be glad to address those. Or anything else that I didn't talk about if you have questions about that. We are working with someone that has an interest in the commercial development around Highway 62 and 3. That was just a recent development, so we'll keep you in the loop about that.
Thank you, Jill. If there's no further questions for Jill, move on to old business. We're presented a consideration for an additional easement from Clark County REMC along High Jackson Road at Shadow Lake Park entrance. We approved an easement maybe 2 months ago for a section just around the corner past the cell tower, and they came back with an additional easement for that parcel of property. So Jill has that information to present.
I do. The easement document is the same document that was, with the exception of description, the same type of document was presented before. Cross Brown Tide attorneys reviewed that easement. And then just this afternoon, I got an updated exhibit, which matched the appropriate easements that they wanted. So we briefly discussed this at last month's meeting, and then I had sent out some mapping and such after that once I got it. I don't know if you guys have any questions or concerns. If you don't, then we need a motion to approve the granting of this easement and for Bobby to actually sign this, as we did that with the last one, since Derek is employed by the REMC. We felt like it would be appropriate for Bobby to sign the easement.
You can see there they did take into consideration the proposed entrance there for the pole
I
locations.
don't know if you have the right,
So,
I don't know if you have the most recent.
so it's, the only thing different on it is the hatch line there for the 30-foot from the center line, but the pole locations and the entrance are the same.
And it really doesn't affect anything that you want to do at the park. What it does do, though, is allow the REMC to have enough power to serve everything that everyone wants to do there, or at least in the foreseeable future.
Is there any further questions? I'll ask for a roll call vote to approve.
Was there a motion and a second?
Not yet.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Just keeping you on your toes.
Ask for a motion to approve the easement.
I'll make that motion to approve the easement.
Motion by Benita, second.
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 I have a second by John Spencer. Any further discussion?
Derek, did you abstain from the vote last time too?
Yeah, before we do a roll call vote, I'll let the record reflect that I abstained from voting on this.
I just want to know, Derek, how many hamsters less will be running on their wheels because we're going to round electrical.
Good question, John.
2, I'm gonna guess 2. 2 less hamsters.
Ask for a vote. Benita Payne,
Yes.
Bobby Brooks,
Yes.
John Spencer.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to our new business, we have a consideration for resolution 2025 R1 for pass-through assessed value for 2025 payable 2026.
And this, according to statute, the city and the redevelopment commission need to notify, the redevelopment commission needs to notify the county auditor by June 15th if you plan to pass through any excess assessed value that you have. So, what that means is if you had excess TIF revenue that we weren't using or isn't committed to certain bonds that you hold now and are making payments on, then you could elect to pass that through to those taxing units that were on the list that would normally get that money. At present, because of your debt obligations and projects that you have ongoing and just general obligations, you really don't have any excess assessed value to pass through. So we're required to make that determination and notify the auditor on or before June 15th. So this is something that we've done in the past, you do every year about this time of year. And this resolution states that you will not be passing any assessed value in the allocation areas from 2025 taxes payable 2026 to those entities.
I make a motion that we pass the resolution stating we will not pass through any excess TIF money to these entities. So I make that motion.
Thank you, John. We have a motion by John, or is there a second?
I second.
Second by Bobby. Any further discussion?
There is discussion. I just want to say, and I think I say this every year, but I do want to make it clear that we on the redevelopment commission, well, I speak for myself, but I think that we all agree that we understand how this affects other taxing entities, and we appreciate that, especially in this current financial environment. But I think we also agree that what we're doing for the city of Charlestown will benefit in the long run, for sure, the taxing entities that are affected. So we don't make the decision lightly, and I think that every time we have a vote on anything that we spend money for, I think it is after careful consideration for the effects it will have. So we don't want to diminish in any way the significance of these other taxing entities, but I do believe we're making the right choice.
Thank you for the comment, John. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask for a roll call. Dean Bay,
Yes.
Bobby Brooks,
Yes.
John Spencer.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Is there any further discussion this evening? If there's no further discussion, our next meeting is scheduled for July 1st, 2025, 6 p.m. And I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Roll call vote.
We have to do a roll call on an adjournment.
Yeah, technically.
Technically, you do, sorry.
Dean Bay,
Yes.
Bobby Brooks,
Yes.
John Spencer.
Absolutely.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.